NBC Sports and the PGA Tour proudly present On the Range, presented by ReliaQuest. And we are live at TPC Scottsdale, home of the WM Phoenix Open. The stadium course at TPC Scottsdale. It opened in 1986 and began hosting the PGA Tour just 12 months later in a tournament that dates all the way back to 1932. In the list of winners, it reads like a wing in the Hall of Fame. Hogan and Nelson, Palmer and Miller, and of course, Scotty Scheffler. He's in the field this week for one of the great parties in the game of golf as we welcome you into On the Range. Ned Michaels alongside Matt Every and Colin Swatton. It promises to be another sensational week here in the Sonora Desert. Guys, it's been a record-setting drought over the past 4 or 5 months, really, here in the area, Scottsdale and Phoenix and Tucson. The golf course, firm, fast. The rough is a little bit deep. The players have talked about it. So as we look ahead, and we're on the range here on a Wednesday, how does that impact your preparation?
Well, look, if I'm a player heading here to the desert, Ned, it's a welcoming sight. We've had all kinds of weather. The last 3 weeks in California being thrown their way.
Right.
They got to be licking their chops when they walk onto this range. The world-class practice facility, some of the best facilities on tour. Great week if you want to do some tinkering with your game or TrackMan work as well.
And Colin, as the coach, what are you doing to get your players properly prepared?
Oh, I think Matt makes a great point. You know, obviously you've had some bad weather out on the West Coast. You know, Torrey Pines, we saw what happened there last week, obviously at AT&T Pebble Beach. And what happens when you get into these conditions, Ned, is that players make these adjustments. They try and make the ball sort of fit into different windows and things like that. So as Matt alluded to, you're now back on a surface that you can start to dial in your normal windows, your normal flights. This week it's going to be firm and fast. It's a totally different test to what the players have seen for the last couple of weeks. And we're going to see that higher ball flight, a little bit softer. There's more than one way to make the ball stop, Ned.
Well, back to fundamentals, back to the simplicities of the game. And there aren't many who do it better than Scotty Scheffler. In his last 4 trips here, he's notched all top 10s, including a couple of wins. Back-to-back, they came in 22 and 23. So much made of his ball striking, but it doesn't hurt to make a couple of 15-footers along the way.
It doesn't. Not a fair fight when Scotty's rolling those in, Ned.
Average 67.2 around this golf course. That's going to get it done. And nobody has won more dollars in this event than that man, Scotty Scheffler. He is part of lofty company, we know that, on the PGA Tour, but specifically here and going back-to-back in 22 and 23, he joined some of the greats, including Johnny Miller, Hideki, and Arnold Palmer. Won it in 1961, and he backed it up again a year later. He won in a playoff over Doug Sanders, and then he won by 12 the following year.
How killer is this footage right here, Arnie? Back in his heyday, winning by 12. Was that 12 over Nicklaus here?
Over a fella by the name of Jack Nicklaus, yeah. You're familiar with Mr. Palmer.
Sure am. Was lucky enough to win his tournament twice. Didn't get the cardigan, though. I believe he has it on here.
I wonder what color that cardigan is. Do you have the sword?
Didn't get the. I was right in between those, Ned. I need one of them.
Yeah, I feel like there should be some retroactive that you get a cardigan, one of the red cardigans. Scotty earned one of those last year, winning the Arnold Palmer Invitational presented by MasterCard. Love this old footage, though. I mean, you go back old school. That describes Colin,
over here.
Scotty Scheffler, old school.
Yeah, well, the thing I admire most about Scotty Scheffler is the way he goes about his business on the driving range. He gets back to basics. He has a molded grip that he travels with, works tirelessly on that grip. You could see it just a moment ago there. And he works a lot on fundamentals. This is a part of golf that's overlooked. It sometimes just doesn't seem as sexy as hitting those positions, talking wrist angles, Matt, things like that. It's all about doing the little things right.
It sure is. I think that's going to be a common theme in the next hour and a half, Colin. Just how simple these guys like to make it in their practice sessions. Like, everybody's got some kind of measuring device out there now, but you'd be shocked. I mean, a lot of guys just run those alignment sticks down there and beat the basics into the ground. There's some questions last week where Scotty would be with his game, Ned, with that hand injury, but he answered them all. Elite ball striking stats last week, really just lost strokes around the green, which isn't a massive issue here at all. And I think he's got to be licking his chops this week. Here we can see right here he's getting these sticks out. Train track action, and one's for the path on the way back, and the other he's just trying to match his toes, Colin, up to the other one.
Yeah, he's just trying to get his alignments set. You know, obviously you mentioned there one just for the target line, then he'll look at one for his toe line. I'm not sure if we can pick it up there with the footage that we've got. Teddy's got in the bag just in the way, but also too, he has an alignment stick down on the back of his heels as well there. A lot of players look at their toes. Obviously, once you start to turn that left foot out and you start to flare it a little bit, it actually can make that sort of illusion that you're actually a little bit more open to the target. So as a coach, I always like to try and get players to put something down on their heel line and make sure you're in the right position from there. But just going through the bag here, just trying to dial in some numbers, really just try and keep loose, continue those reps, and continue that good form.
There's so much that goes into winning, of course, on the PGA Tour, and Scheffler's developed into this well-rounded player who can beat you so many ways. When he won here in 2022, he had 80% of his greens, give or take a couple percent, but he was only 50% up and down. When he came the following year, he was 86% up and down. So you take essentially the best hitter of the golf ball on the PGA Tour and you tack in that kind of short game.
Well, we're also looking at it right now. I mean, you know, Scotty Scheffler with an iron in his hands, it might be the most lethal weapon on the tour. You could argue Rory's driver right now as well, but you know, Scotty's irons, he can run laps around these guys. He doesn't need to get everything up and down. He doesn't need to make every 8-footer he looks at. It's he's just going to beat him to death by 1,000 cuts this week.
Yeah, well, he does something better than most people do, is he gets the ball pin high more often than not, and he's missing on the right sides as well. To give yourself the best part as we take a look at the strokes gained rankings there for Scheffler. Look at that, a lot of ones on that on that board.
Well, when you have those kind of stats too, that's 77. It's not as bad as it looks.
Just a lovely upright action here for Scheffler. That's one reason he can hit that ball so straight.
We'll slide from Scotty to one of his good buddies, a man who has a fistful of PGA Tour wins, Sam Burns. A little housekeeping going on. You know, fellas, when he started here, he didn't have a good track record. His first 4 times to the WM Phoenix Open, he missed 3 of his first 4 cuts. The last 2 seasons, he's figured out this golf course, and he talked about the strategy of it and what he needs to do to play well. He finished tied for 6th and tied for 3rd the last couple of seasons, including 29 under over the weekend in both of those.
It's interesting, his past results here. You know, I feel like Sam was a total stud coming out of college, but he did level up his game a couple years ago, and maybe that there's something to that there, Ned. But as far as TPC Scottsdale is concerned, it is a bit of a horses for courses kind of place. We see a lot of the same names on the front page of the leaderboard year in and year out. This is one of them right here.
And I think too, he made mention that he got a little bit off track, you know, and sometimes when you get a little bit off track trying to chase something, trying to implement something into the golf swing, you can just lose focus of what's important and what's worked for you in the past. And no doubt Sam and his team have, you know, put together a clear focus at the end of the year for what they want to try and achieve this year. Not necessarily the best starts, just that T8 at Century to start his season off, but I don't think it'll be long until this man is back in the winner's circle. Just such a great ball striker, and you know, when he's on, he's on.
I'm with you. You know, the form hasn't been terrible this year. He's had 3 starts, top 30s in all of them. You mentioned the tied for 8th is his best one. I think this is a great get-right spot for Sam. I mentioned it just before, horses for courses. If you look at the favorites this week, Scotty's going off at like 2.5 to 1, Ned. You can't touch that. I'm looking more like a guy like Sam Burns.
What are you catching on Sam?
I think Sam's hovering around 25 to 1 right now. Look, this guy's just a unit out there. I mean, he's one of the rawest athletes we have on the PGA Tour. There's not too many guys that play on the PGA Tour that played in their defensive backfield in high school, Ned.
His brother and father were both high-level football players. It is a golf course where typically you require some knowledge, a couple of prior starts. But Kyle Stanley came in 2012 and he won on debut. Brooks Koepka did the same 3 years later. So there's a little precedent that you can win on debut.
Just that little sort of downtick last season in greens and regulation, and for a prolific ball striker, I think suddenly when you start missing a few greens here and there, and suddenly it puts a little bit more pressure on your short game, a little bit more pressure on your putting, and you're about to become a dad, and everything else starts to happen around you. It's easy to get consumed, a little lost. But he has a great team around him. They'll keep him on track.
Some of the notable early pairings in the opening round, Justin Thomas going out with a couple of young superstars, and Luke Clanton, the amateur, looking to lock up his PGA Tour card via the PGA Tour University Accelerated program. And the defending champion, Nick Taylor, remember what he did last year on Thursday? All he did was go out and shoot 60, tie the course record. There is the defending champion. He's going to join us when we come back on the range. Welcome back to On the Range, presented by ReliaQuest, live at the WM Phoenix Open. What a day to be out in the Sonora Desert. Not a cloud in the sky. It is absolutely gorgeous. And our man who's down on the range, Andres Gonzalez, caught up earlier with Sam Burns.
All right, Sam. That range session looked pretty clean to me from the naked eye. What are you focused on as you're getting dialed in on a Wednesday?
Yeah, I think especially here, getting numbers. The golf ball is definitely going to go a little bit further this week, especially in the afternoon when the temperature gets up. It's really just trying to dial in numbers and see kind of what a shot at home feels like and what it's compared to here. That's kind of the main thing.
Are you working on getting the ball to go both ways? It looks like you primarily play it cut to pretty straight.
Yeah, I mean, try to play it pretty straight with my irons and fade kind of the longer stuff. I feel like when I play my best, I can kind of take out the left side a little bit. So yeah, just trying to kind of keep it within the parameters.
As far as your last couple finishes here, a tie for third last year, the year before in 2023, a tie for sixth. Tell me what that does for your confidence as you move in coming back to this week and how comfortable you feel.
Yeah, if I can keep moving up about 3 spots, I think that put me in a pretty good spot. But I like this golf course. It's you can hit a lot of different shots around here. You have to be pretty precise off the tee, especially into the greens. So I think the greens are obviously really good. You can make a lot of putts, and so I think it's a good golf course for me. I like everything, especially kind of visually. So I'm excited to tee it up this week.
As far as high finishes the last couple years, is there anything that you need to do that should get you over the hump, or is it just kind of keep putting yourself in that position and hope the right putts fall?
Yeah, I think, as you know, the more times you can put yourself in that position, the better. And honestly, when it comes down to it, I mean, it's just a shot here or there, really, especially down the stretch. So really just trying to, with 9 holes to go, try to be right there and have a chance to win.
Perfect. Well, play great this week and enjoy yourself.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You heard him mention as we take a look at Nick Taylor. We are at altitude, a little over 1,000 feet. Ball goes a few yards farther. You have to put all that into the equation. Nick Taylor did it well last year.
Yes, he did, Ned. Just getting back a little bit to Sam Burns' interview. That's something these guys fight year-round out here. Is that you're in different climates every week. Last week we're on the coast, damp air, a little colder, ball's going nowhere. Sam lives back home in Louisiana at sea level. Here we're a little bit above it. It's warmer. You got those measuring devices. They matter big time right now on the PGA Tour. Every single guy out there has one.
Yeah, and these guys are calibrating. They're figuring it out. These guys get out. They usually play a practice round early one day, maybe a practice round later in the afternoon, because there's quite a disparity too. With the temperatures in the morning and then the temperatures in the afternoon. When the temperature's cooler, the ball doesn't fly as far. Things like that. You also get those dewy little skids when you're on and around the green. So they're paying attention to all of that. They're putting that into their notes as they're going around playing their practice rounds. And all those things come together to try and help these guys, hoist the trophy at the end of the week.
Well, you look at Nick Taylor's game and where he's won.
Doing well.
He's won at Pebble Beach. He's won this season at the Sony out in Hawaii. Of course, the famous Canadian Open. To your point, he's seemingly well adjusted.
Yeah, I think Nick's one of the hardest guys to pinpoint when he's going to play well. His biggest strength are his insides, and it's far and away for me. If Nick can put himself in a one-on-one situation late on Sunday, give me him every single time. I mean, every single time.
Yeah, we saw that, obviously when he won, what he did on those last 4 holes.
Yeah, ran the table last year.
I think he had a combined, 18 feet of putts, for birdies in those last 4 holes. If he has a sniff of winning, this guy will take it. He is not afraid.
3-0 in playoffs.
Yeah, it's a massive strength. There are guys out there who don't have what he has on the inside, who maybe are a little bit more talented than Nick Taylor. But you kind of heard Sam Burns say it too. Just give myself opportunities. The back nine on Sunday. That's all this guy's asking for. He doesn't care what week it is. But if he's there on back nine on Sunday, you better pay attention to Nick Taylor.
Just such a simple golf swing too. There's not a lot of moving parts. The club is in balance. It's just, got a great angle here. Sort of caddy view, as I would refer to it. Great setup position there, great lines, really neutral grip position. And as we start to run this through here, you're just going to see some really simplicity but solid moves. Look how that little load, see that transition, that little surf from the backswing, the pressure shift's been made to the rear side, the trail foot, and then he gets that little surf into that left foot. And as we continue this tape running down and through, what you'll start to see is, watch that left knee, how it will start to straighten. Now he's pushing back against the ground, and that's how he generates all his speed. A very, very simple golf swing Not a lot can go wrong with it, and that's the reason he's having the career that he's having.
Yeah, simple and repeatable, no doubt about that. And also, this is a guy who averages 165 miles per hour with ball speed, Colin. You do not see many guys taking down PGA Tour Ws with 160 plus ball speed.
Yeah, you'd expect him, and Ned just went through it just a moment ago of where he's won. You'd expect someone at 165 miles an hour maybe to be in a little bit more of a contention on a boutique style golf course, something a little shorter, or maybe even in those sort of summer months when you can sort of get a little bit more scoot and skip down the fairways. But, obviously to win on a variety of golf courses in variety of different weather conditions and courses is, just credit to Nick, really.
Well, think about his win at Pebble Beach versus what we saw at McIlroy last week. Two very different ways to go about it, but both got their hands on the hardware. And of course, he's been a fantastic player. He was #1 ranked Canadian amateur, a top ranked world amateur.
Well, also, Ned, it feels like he's been out here about, I want to say, between 12 and 15 years. And if you can do that, you're a fantastic player. I mean, there's a lot of good golfers in this world, and just keeping your job out there for that long is impressive enough.
Firm, fast golf course benefit a guy like Nick Taylor?
I would say so this week. I mean, if he can find the fairways give you a little more rollout. Nick doesn't hit the highest irons. He's kind of a gritty player. I would say yes, Ned.
He was exceptional last year, as you referenced, especially coming down the stretch. The Coliseum. On a Sunday?
I'll tell you what, and sometimes it sets up nice for you coming in. If you're a fader, some back right pins. 16 and 17 with those left pins work nicely for Nick Taylor. This was the most impressive club to me, though, down the stretch. I mean, he did not miss from that range, Colin.
Oh, don't forget too, Matt. Like, he laid up
Yeah.
on 15 the hole before to 81 yards, and then went and stuffed it into 3 feet before he went to the 16th, and obviously this here at 18.
Took down the Desert Rat, Charlie Hoffman, who had nearly closed out a couple of W's at the WM Phoenix Open in the past. Had found the fountain of youth, but Nick Taylor, he is some kind of special under the pressure of the playoffs. So much so that he's now part of the RBC Canadian Open logo. Six past champions in the field. Hideki, he went back-to-back in 16 and 17. Let's go check in on the megawatt superstar over on the range.
Colin, how do you like Hideki's chances this week?
I do like Hideki's chances. Obviously, he's already chalked up a W early in the season, which great takes that sort of little bit of pressure off. You've now are sort of playing with free money, so to speak. But I like Hideki around here. Going for the green is a statistic where it's actually something, where you're going for the green in par, on the par fives. They're all reachable, let's be honest. And then obviously you talk about 17 as well. So I like Hideki. He's a super high ball flight hitter. He moves the ball a little bit from left to right. He can get the ball to sit, and he can access some of these pin locations up on shelves and tiers that a lot of the field just can't get to. So I do like Hideki. A little flinch there on the on the back there with that one-arm swing.
Yeah, that means he's dialed in when he finishes with one hand, Colin.
Oh, absolutely. I've been caught a number of times on the ground walking with Hideki and that one-arm swing, and suddenly it's right in the middle of the fairway, but he doesn't seem at all happy at the moment.
Nobody tweaks drivers more than Hideki. I mean, he's always got 4 or 5 of them.
Well, it's not just a driver, sometimes a lot of putters, but let's take a look at this swing here for Hideki Matsuyama. I want to point out a couple of things here as we start to work this club back towards the top. If we can take it up there and then just pause it for a moment. We saw Hideki just a moment ago sort of just grab his back a little bit here, and I'm just going to highlight this area here. a lot of players on the PGA Tour, you'll see a lot less knee flex in that right leg. And that's what we call internal rotation. Now, that's limiting his internal rotation into his backside. The lumbar spine is meant to flex and extend, Ned. It's not meant to actually create any sort of rotation. When you combine a lack of mobility down in that hip area with look how long that backswing is there, that is an issue that will cause some back pain there. So, Hideki, we know he's been fighting a little bit of that over the past year. He's also had a little bit of a wrist injury there. But if this man is fit and healthy, which we always hope he is a danger. We've seen that already.
Yeah, those neck and back injuries, Colin, they scare me. I feel like they kind of linger throughout a career. Do you think I noticed too that backswing is a little long there. Does that have to do with the left knee caving and that extra kind of turn there?
Yeah, he's always swung it a little bit long, but he's had that pause. Mm-hmm. And now he's been trying to sort of eliminate that pause a little bit. I think he's just getting a little bit more runoff because he's not normally finishing where he'd want to finish. So I think that could be a little bit of an issue there. Also, too, you play a lot of golf. When you're playing a lot of golf, and we sort of mentioned it early in the show, you get a little bit out of rhythm.
Yep.
And I think now what he's trying to do is to sort of say, okay, let's find some rhythm, let's dial this back in, let's tighten things up a little bit and get ourselves back to what we need to do there. A little bit more of a pause on that one there, but it is a little bit longer.
And I would point out, if you look at the list of injuries, even if they're just nagging, goes back to when he tried to take the pause out of, it could be coincidental, but right around that time is when we saw the injuries start to mount up for Hideki.
Yep.
That being said, 35 under the century, he looked pretty much in shape and on point.
Well, it's so difficult too, Ned. You want to keep the movement. The actual transition of the downswing starts pretty much about halfway back, 3/4 of the way on the backswing. When you're pausing and then you've got that fast acceleration of the hips and the torso, that's where you can sometimes do a little bit of little tweak to the back, but you can see they're just dialing in some numbers, just looking at them.
An intriguing man to watch if you get to come out to a tournament, Hideki Matsuyama. We're hanging out with him on the range at the WM Phoenix Open. Beautiful scenes from the stadium course at TPC Scottsdale. Showing up and showing off on a gorgeous Wednesday. Makes you want to be outside, makes you want to be amongst the people. The 16th, the back in the background. And then the 17th, you better have a plan when you step to the tee. Time now for Better Outcomes, presented by ReliaQuest. Today we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that 17th hole here at TPC Scottsdale. Take a look. The ShotLink era, nearly 9,000 tee shots have been played, nearly 1,000 have found the green, and almost 700 in the water. When you step to the tee, Matt Every, if you don't have a game plan, you're going to find the doubt not helpful.
Well, look, Ned, it's a great hole, first of all, an amazing short par 4 on the PGA Tour, but the challenge here at the 17th is the pin placement. You saw that graphic, 93 balls in the water. I'm pretty sure I have 7 or 8 of them over there, but let's take a peek here. That back left hole location, it's only about 280 to the front, so most of these guys are gearing down with a 3-wood. You need to play short to there. Anything bailed out to the right pin high is completely handcuffed. You're almost laying up for your second, Colin.
Yeah, and this is what Weiskopf does really well. He always puts a drivable par 4 at a very pointed part in the golf course. And this closing stretch of holes, we've already talked about it, is really, really good. And you can see that bunker right in the center, Ned. That's the issue. A lot of guys are just trying to cover that bunker, and then on the back side of that bunker is a pretty steep downslope. Now you get the wrong kick there, and you could sort of really get this ball scooting with too much speed across the green.
You know, the last 4 winners seem to have tamed the 17th rather well. No surprise to see that Scotty Scheffler did it better than the others at 4 under par. A lot of ways to tackle the short par 4, the 17th, but our man Andres Gonzalez, he caught up with one of the hottest players on the planet in Wyndham Clark, and he discussed how he attacks the 17th.
Everybody's always worried about 16. Tell me about 17. I think that's a big hole where a lot of things can change. How do you approach that hole?
Yeah, I think you're right. It's 16 is a par 3. I mean, if you birdied it once or twice, that's probably realistically a good mark to be at. But 17 is really where I think you win or lose the tournament. Playing that, if you could try to play that 3 to 4 under, I think that's huge because there's water left and guys make big messes of that hole, and I've done that in the past. So this year, my goal, it would be awesome to try to play it right about 3 under.
We'll play great this week. Have a ton of fun.
Thanks, Ray.
Interesting that he has a number in mind, right? And we saw that graphic earlier. The last 4 winners have played it under par, but Wyndham knew is if I can play it 3 under, that'll work.
Yeah, just like the measuring devices with TrackMan and all that stuff, Ned. All these guys got stat guides now too, as well. They're in their back pocket, and I guarantee you, it's a point of emphasis this week. Look, these are the hard holes we need to get by at even par, but these holes here, we need to clip them off 2 or 3 under for the week if you want to be in the winner's circle.
Well, you're becoming a stats guy.
Yeah.
When you were playing, did you utilize the statistics like you do now in your broadcast? Did you wish you had?
Yes.
Tell me why. Tell me where.
It's just a lot of areas. You know, when you're playing, you think, I know what I'm weak at. I know what I run from, but I don't know. I would have been a little more conservative on some of my target lines more than anything. I don't know how I would read that out of a stat, but just doing TV and watching these guys play on a lot of the demanding shots, you know, they're shifting those targets over, and it's tough to do when you're hitting it where you're looking.
Well, it was interesting. Last week, Rory McIlroy touched on that and said he had to hold back on some of his impulses, and the impulses being to be aggressive to kind of show off for the fans, Colin Swat.
Yeah, it's something that I did with Jason when I was with Jason. I gave him statistics similar to what Wyndham was talking about. Which holes you need to par, which holes you need to be a little bit more conservative on. And his initial reaction was, all I have to do is make 2 pars on that hole. And suddenly you say, hey, you're only going to make 2 pars on that hole. Suddenly the tee shot looks a little different. The second shot looks a little different. You know, you start to look at holes differently. Everyone thinks you need to go out and birdie every hole.
Yep.
You don't. It's bogey avoidance, which is key. The winner's going to make 18, 19, 20 birdies, but the person that makes the least amount of bogeys that week is going to hoist the trophy.
Well, we're watching Wyndham Clark. It hasn't been the start to the 2025 campaign that Wyndham has wanted. His ball striking not quite as crisp as we're used to. Will you see anything here, Matt?
Well, yeah, you're right about his start. It's been pretty poor for Wyndham standards, especially last week. That came out of nowhere. Lost almost 10 shots to the field and strokes gained. He's clearly working on something. Hitting off of a tee with an iron this small. Colin, do you think he's trying to shallow out a little bit?
Yeah, that's a good point, Matt. A lot of guys, when they get a little bit steep, and Wyndham would be the first to sort of acknowledge this, he gets a little bit sort of leany. He sort of gets a little bit more pressure, both with the top of the body and also his lower body gets a little bit more down on the ball, so he gets a little bit too steep. By putting the ball on the tee, he's admitted that allows him just to stay behind, try and pick it off a little bit, and he just sort of shallows things out. You know, you don't want to get too steep on it, especially with a week like this in the books, you know, where you need to try and get it a little bit higher, get the ball to stop a little bit quicker. So very good drill. And again, like world number one that we saw a little bit earlier on the range show, you know, working on fundamentals. You know, you mentioned that he hasn't had such a great start to his season, but these guys work on their fundamentals more than most. You can see there, alignment stick, he's got a little chalk line down there where the ball is, just making sure that everything is nice and square, nice and set, and then he can just start his week with the confidence knowing that he swings in a good position.
Can we get somebody to tee the ball up for him?
Right? Get Johnny Ellis in there.
Can Johnny just sit by the bag of balls and tee him up?
Well, I will say, Wyndham, you know, he's so good. That tee hasn't moved once. He's just picking him right off of that thing. You know, this is also a guy, Colin, with a ton of speed. So when he does get steep and he likes to cut it, that cut can almost turn into a bit of a wipe if he's too steep. Am I correct?
Good point.
And he's become his own coach again. Remember, a season and a half, 2 seasons ago, he said he just abandoned swing instruction. He stopped watching YouTube videos and just started to own his own swing. Colin, as a coach, what do you make of it?
Yeah, I think a lot of guys have done that over the years. You know, Justin Rose came out and said, I want ownership of my swing, and then suddenly he's now leaning back on some tutelage. So I think from time to time, and I talk about it with my students, I say, I want you to own what you're doing. And there's a difference between owning your swing and owning what you want to do.
That man knows what he wants to do. Young Luke Clanton is 1 point away on the PGA Tour University Accelerated program, 1 cut away from earning his PGA Tour card. Welcome back to On the Range, presented by ReliaQuest. We are live at the WM Phoenix Open It's the most attended golf tournament anywhere on the planet. And somehow everybody has to figure out a way in. They have to get onto the grounds. And last year, 2 years ago, Colin Swatton, you were the man at the starting line.
I did have the good fortune. A little shout out to the PGA Tour and also everyone at the WM Phoenix Open for being able to put this together. What an opportunity, what an experience it was.
Well, thanks, guys. In the words of the great Cotton McKnight, I have been to the Great Wall of China. I have scaled the pyramids of Egypt, but never in all my years as a sportscaster have I seen the improbable, now possible, running of the bulls here to the 16th at the WM Phoenix Open. The countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
Your reaction. Somebody pulled you aside, otherwise you were going to be a pancake.
It wasn't my best Fonzie cool moment, that is for sure. But look at the stream of people just coming in. It's absolutely an amazing experience.
It is indeed the People's Open. And the People's Choice this year may be this man, Matt McCarty. We're going to check in with him as he's trying to get his game ready as a hometown kid. So there's going to be a lot of cheering for this young man. And of course, he's come off of the Korn Ferry Tour with those 3 wins last season, a winner up in Utah, PGA Tour, and now he gets his 2025 campaign underway. And Colin Swatton, what are we doing here?
Yeah, this is actually it's a great drill. You know, this has been around for quite a while. The pressure in the last 3 fingers of your right hand is absolutely paramount. It actually keeps the club in the correct position underneath the heel pad. Sometimes the player's thumb will creep down the shaft a little bit, and what that does is actually take that pressure out, and you don't really cock the club or set the club correctly. So just using his coach there just to pull on that grip, and what that does is when you pull on that grip, you pull back and you tighten down on those last 3 fingers of the right hand, and it just gives you a much better connection. You can go ahead and create the right wrist cock reset on the way back.
I don't know about you, Ned, but I'm a sucker for some old school coaching.
Yeah.
This stuff right here. You know, McCarty picked up that first win at the Black Desert. Really the only week, though, since he's been an official member of the PGA Tour where he's gained strokes in any category amongst the field. It's pretty bizarre to look at, to be honest, Colin. There's not a lot of form here. Definitely searching a little bit, but the good thing is he's got 2.5 years to find it because he's exempt for a while.
And just if you got a fantasy team or you're interested in other parts of the game, come along with PGA Tour now. Just look at who designed this golf course, and same fellow also designed the golf course where Matt won earlier in Utah. Just something fits his eye, maybe.
You bring up a hell of a point. I mean, Mr. Weiskopf, both of those places, and also, you know, Matt McCarty lives here now, so who knows? Maybe, you know, there might be a little symmetry there, Ned. Could be reaching.
No, I think you're right. I mean, when you grow up here and you're going to have the fans behind you, and you hear the players talk about it here, especially. When the fans are against you versus when the fans are with you, you can ride the wave or it can take you down, and he's certainly going to have plenty of support.
You know, as a player this week, it's a big week for your buddies. It really is. Like, you know, even being a Florida guy, when I got on tour, all my buddies wanted to come to the Phoenix Open. So I can only imagine what it's like for him with being a local, first time there. It's gonna be a blast for McCarty.
And a good point too to make here is just look at the simplicity of what they're working on. Yes, they've got a tracking device down, but realistically they're doing everything to do with the grip at the moment. You know, this is the thing. Matt gets a little bit curvy, really does work the ball quite a lot from left to right. So, you know, you can see his coach there just trying to get the left hand a little bit more on top of the club just to weaken that a little bit. Now talking about what he wants the club to to feel like. Obviously, when you get that hand a little bit more bow or flex at the top there, it shuts the face, and he can get a little hooky. He's just talking about just getting a little bit more cup in the back of that hand at the top of the big backswing, which will just neutralize that face a little bit.
Colin, do you ever struggle teaching lefties?
No, I worked with Greg Chalmers for a number of years, and you know, the interesting thing, and there's a good close-up of the grip there, just trying to get that left hand a little bit more on top and just sort of keep that club a little bit squarer through the ball. But you know, it's interesting, some lefties, like Greg, for example, he actually liked looking at his golf swing in a righty. And sometimes I take a righty and look at it in lefty.
Jump over to another young superstar in the making, Luke Clanton. And he caught up with our man Andres Gonzalez just a little while ago. You take a look at his bio. World #1 amateur, 10 career starts, 8 cuts made, 4 top 10s, including a couple of runner-up finishes. This guy is an absolute thoroughbred.
Luke, 11th start on the PGA Tour. You've already had some success. Tell me how excited you are to play in the WM Phoenix Open for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. I watched this event growing up for a while, and it's exciting to kind of be out here, maybe earn my card out here, which would be really cool. But again, we're just going to take it one shot at a time and just keep going.
As far as what you mentioned about getting your card, with a cut made this week, you can earn your PGA Tour status through PGA Tour U. Tell me how much that's on your mind, or is it just kind of coming out here and playing one shot at a time?
Again, man, I'm just trying to play one shot at a time. I get that question asked a couple of times here and there, but again, man, I'm just a simple dude, just coming out here playing the best golf I can. If it works out, it works out.
Anything that you're looking forward to compared to other tournaments here at WM? Just with the fans, it's a little bit different than what you're used to.
No doubt. I mean, yesterday was pretty packed in 16, so I'm just excited, man. I'm excited to embrace it. I'm excited to see what the fans do, and let's have a good time.
Perfect. Well, enjoy yourself this week. Play great, and good luck to you.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Yes, sir.
It's a great story, and with one more cut, if he makes it this week, he will have locked up his PGA Tour card. There'll be a lot of fans out there pulling for young Luke Clanton. Put their names in neon lights. Some notable pairings coming at you tomorrow from the first round of the WM Phoenix Open. Akshay and Wyndham going out with Matt McCarty, Scheffler, and Tom Kim. How about with Max Homa? That is going to be a well-attended 3-ball that goes out. And then Thigala, who has held the lead here going into the final round on 2 different occasions, going out with Ricky Fowler, a past champion, and Billy Horschel, who some have pegged. Maybe this could be a week that he finds himself back in the winner's circle. But that 233 pairing, Clark and Akshay going alongside with Matt McCarty, who we just watched on the range. I'll be interested to get his thoughts and learn a little bit more about how he's going to handle this week. He talked with Andres Gonzalez earlier.
Matt, you've been coming to this event ever since you were a kid. This is a hometown event for you now, first time playing. Tell me where your emotions are at.
Yeah, I mean, it feels good. I'm just really excited for the week and, obviously know the course pretty well. Been playing out here a lot the last few years. So, just really excited and, a lot of family, friends coming out. So it'll be a lot of fun.
You were a standard bearer here when you were younger. Tell me what you're most looking forward to this week now that you're actually inside the ropes.
Yeah, I mean, I got the experience of walking through 16, with all the people, I guess. But hitting a shot there will be a little different. But I would say that and just, kind of coming down the stretch out here with all the stands, 16, 17. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's a tournament unlike any other. There are just a ton of people out here. Tell me what you're most looking forward to just as far as fan interaction.
I think just having fun and just kind of, I think I got a lot of people on my side this week. So just kind of, hopefully make a lot of birdies and kind of get them going a little bit and feed off that energy more than anything for sure.
Perfect. Well, your first time out, enjoy yourself. This is always one of the most fun weeks of the year.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited and, kind of dream come true after growing up out here, young age. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Soak it all in and play well this week.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Nothing like an opportunity to win your hometown PGA Tour event. Do you think this picture taken back in 2020 is just really 4 years ago? Do you think if you had talked to Matt at that point on that day and said, hey, you're going to have won 3 times on the Korn Ferry Tour and the PGA Tour within 4 years, you think he would have believed you?
You never know. I mean, maybe, Ned. We're talking about these young guys right now. They come out of school just bulletproof.
I think when they see someone that they've played golf with at a college level or a high school level that they know that they've beaten over time, they come out here and they just, well, I used to beat him and I'm going to come out and do well myself.
And we talked about the emotions, as did Matt, especially with so many family and friends there cheering for you. It can work both ways, but you get the sense for this week for McCarty, it might be just the accelerant he needs. The 2019 champion. It wasn't easy for Ricky Fowler. Barely got it to the finish line. A Sunday 74. That included a triple bogey, all kinds of mayhem, but he got it done.
Yeah, it's never easy. Ned, winning out here on the PGA Tour. He's had a couple looks here in Phoenix. You can see him videoing his swing. This is pretty common, Colin Swatton. Every single one of these guys, and I think it's important for the people at home to know, there's a correct angle to video your swing. You want that phone or whatever you're shooting the video out of at about hand height and shooting down the target line. Get the same angle every time so you can really tell where that club is in the golf swing.
Yeah, the point you make is the same every time. Mm-hmm. Consistency is the key with doing any sort of video analysis. Suddenly you change the hand height and you go high or you go lower, it can change the whole look and feel and shape of what you're looking at. You've got to be consistent. Sometimes I try and make my students actually measure the distance all the time, especially when they're at events and then they're sending them to me, because I can look at it and say, that looks a little different, and I want to make sure that you're giving the information that's correct based on what it is actually doing.
Again, if you're looking for just little bits of information, if you've got a fantasy team or other interests in the event this week, you take a look at players who have finished runner-up and then within the next couple of years gone on to win. Ricky Fowler finished runner-up in 2016. He won in 2019. Webb Simpson finished runner-up in 2017. He won in 2020. I'll cite Nick Taylor, who finished runner-up in 23 and won in 24. So if you're looking for who you want on your fantasy team, or if you have interest beyond, just take a look at guys who have good track records here, but specifically who have finished runner-up, because there's a lot of context to tell you that they have likely, statistically, will.
So you're telling us to take Chucky Hoffman this week?
He'd be an all right pick.
Oh,
He's twice a runner-up here, and he's hitting the ball well. And you look at his, I mean, he's called the Desert Rat because the man has more winnings in the desert than any other PGA Tour players in his nearly 20-year career. So you might be able to get some pretty decent pickings on a guy like Hoffman.
You can still. I mean, he's not way up there, but he's around 60 or 70 to 1, and I don't hate it. It's killer form right now.
And if you look at those rounds and you dissect it, he may not have got across the line, but he's actually played about 15 or 16 good holes. He's just having one or two poor holes at very crucial moments in that sort of tournament, and that's just what's putting him out of that contention.
I'm going to throw a little bounce pass to you here as we watch Ricky throw a name like K.H. Lee.
Ooh, now you're speaking my language.
He finished runner-up back in 21.
Yep, has some form coming into this week as well. And you want to talk about a long shot. That's there's some juicy odds for a multiple tour winner. Still, you know, some might debate he's still in his prime years, K.H. Lee.
Just it's always been an entertaining golf swing. I mean, he himself is entertaining, but the swing, fun to watch.
Yeah, just take a look at this backswing here. It's a lot different, a little bit more upright.
Our tracer technology, by the way, is presented by TrackMan.
Used to have that club way laid off, way behind him. Now you can see it's a little bit more upright. Club's pointing a little bit more down the line.
But he was contending when it was flat, and won a couple of years ago in Detroit when it was a little more upright after he kind of got back together with Butch Harmon. But
well, that's the thing. That's the thing with these guys. They're always searching. They're always looking on how that they can improve. How can we get better? And sometimes you've just got to remind them to say, hey, what you did really well was a signature and it's worked well. How do we maintain it?
64, 65, 64, 74. His winning total of 17 under was too clear of Brandon Grace. The Coliseum, it's quiet. Smiles and snarls. You never know what you're going to get, but you better hit a good one.
Who'd you want top 20?
Well, you got to start somewhere if you're going to make your way in this challenging game. You might as well start early. It's a family affair, isn't it, out here at the WM Phoenix Open on a Wednesday on a beautiful, gorgeous day. Get everybody out. I think you're getting some Dad of the Year points right there. Here's a guy who probably could win Dad of the Year at some point in his career, Jordan Spieth. Coming back from wrist surgery and played his first event, Matt Every, last week. What'd you think?
Yeah, knocking off a little rust last week. Look, he didn't have the welcome back to the tour that Scotty Scheffler had. I mean, Scotty looked way more sharp than Jordan did last week. Jordan's, he was in a bit of a slump before he had that surgery. I know it was bothering him. Maybe it played a part in his performance, but we're coming up on almost a full year right now where he's finished within 12 shots of the lead, Ned Michaels.
He has not finished within 12 shots of the lead.
Yes, this event last year was the last time.
That's incredible to think. Jordan Spieth, over a 12-month period, has not finished within a dozen shots of the winning score.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you.
I'm still trying to actually,
process that.
It's like, and you've seen his name up there. Last year. It's interesting to think. Players always, when they get injured, they go through this thing. Will I come back? Will I be the same? Will I not be the same? I think we saw some good stuff last week, Ned. But there was also some stuff that sort of, as Matt has said, just sort of knocking the rust off. The thing that I start to look at is I start to think of, okay, where's his strengths? His strengths are his putting. But also, too, we've seen him tinkering towards the end of the season last year with a new kind of blade style putter, similar to his 009, Scotty Cameron. And then again, we've seen a prototype in the bag also. And he was tinkering around with that mallet, too, at the end of last season. So, he's thinking about something with his putting, but at the same time, too, he's also trying to get his feels back and try and get back into the competitive mode.
Yeah, if you just take a peek at his, stats from last week, he lost strokes to the field pretty much in every ball striking category, which, it's not really the end of the world. Coming back after a little bit of a layoff and a surgery. This could be a good get-right spot for him, too. I know I just mentioned, the 12 shots thing, but look, you talk about horses for courses. This guy lives in the top 5 here at Phoenix.
Yeah, he does. Anytime you're chipping and pitching and putting as good as this guy can do it, and, it's just going to be reps. Whenever you take a long period of time off, usually it's the short game that is the first thing to suffer, chipping on and around the greens as well as on the surface with the greens.
Cameron McCormick, his longtime coach, looking on. Just chilling out, taking it in, working at their own pace. And while they get themselves organized, we're going to check in with Andrew Novak, who's alongside Andres Gonzalez.
Andrew, you've been playing really well the last couple weeks. How's your confidence doing as you move in here to the Phoenix Open?
Yeah, obviously it's really good. I've been hitting a lot of good golf shots, making a lot of putts. So obviously this is kind of high energy, high adrenaline week. So happy to roll in with some good momentum. That was not the case last year. I was playing pretty terrible leading up to this event, and I still made it work. So got some good memories here, and hopefully another good week.
WM Phoenix Open is known as the greenest show on grass. Is there anything that you look forward to as you get into the final holes, let's say 15, 16, 17, 18, just with the build-outs and the amount of fans that are there?
Yeah, it's, we don't really, we have a lot of fans at other tournaments, but we don't have anything like this for the rest of the year. So it's really special to get to play in front of this many people. I just, I love it. I love playing in front of all the people. I love hitting a good shot, getting everybody to cheer for you. I think that's really special about this event.
As far as how you've been playing recently, your mindset is obviously probably very high. What do you need to do to get into that winner's circle, and what are you focused on this week?
Yeah, I just want to keep putting myself in position. If I keep putting myself around the lead, I'm getting more comfortable each and every time I do it. And then one of the weeks, it's going to be by week. I actually am pretty happy with how I've played for the most part. When I've been up there, Bermuda, I thought I played great, hit a lot of really good golf shots, but Rafa played it awesome. And then at Torrey, you know, it's hard to make birdies, but I thought I hung in there really well, made a lot of pars. Harris just wouldn't make a mistake. He played, I think he parred his last 12 holes. He played great. So if, you know, I keep putting myself in position and executing, like one of the weeks it will fall my way.
Well, perfect. Thank you for your time and enjoy it. Get into that winner's circle.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Well, this man, Sahith Theegala, nearly got into the winner's circle on debut here at the WM Phoenix Open. Remember, had the lead on Sunday when he stepped to the 17th. Hit what was, he described it as a good shot. It wasn't a great shot, but a good shot. Took a squirrely bounce, ended up into the pond, left a 17, and finished in a tie for third.
Yeah, that little sliver of water over there on 17, it is crazy how many balls it's swallowed through the years. I'm telling you, there's a magnetic force there. You have so much room to bail out over there. For most of the guys in the field, it's a solid 3-wood, and you're going to get home in 2. But you know, like we said earlier, just it's part of the genius of the design by Mr. Weiskopf.
Yeah, and you made a really good point too, that the water is not entirely visible. So it's in the back of your mind and you know it's there, but you know if you bail out too far right and you get caught on that downslope out of that thick, sticky rough, you could easily chip it in the water from the far right side.
Here it was, 2022, on debut.
Well, and you can see what I'm talking about right here. You see the build out of the bleachers there on the left, Colin? That water peaks in right about there. I mean, you cannot see the bottom of it. I'm all the way back here on the 17th tee, and
Was on the green momentarily. I mean, wasn't a bad golf shot at all.
No, you can see it catch that downslope, that sort of crown off the back of that bunker, extremely firm and fast. And once the ball gets on the green, it all tilts and moves towards that water. It's a challenging tee shot. You can see the disappointment there. And don't forget, that was a rescue.
yeah.
It's over 300 yards to the front of that green. That was a rescue club.
You know, going to be similar conditions to this year, especially on the 17th. We're going to see a ton of guys going with lesser driver.
And you used the term a couple times, a spot to get right. For Theegala, he hasn't had his fastball, that's for sure. He hasn't had command of all of his pitches this season, but you look at this place and could he get right here? He has led after rounds 2 and 3 on 2 different occasions. He did that in 22 and again last year. So his record here is nearly spotless in the sense of tie for third on debut and 5th last year.
And I think a lot of that speaks to the type of person and player he is. He is an artist that paints by feel, not by numbers. There's a lot of challenging tee shots that you have to actually face around here, and I think the ability to be able to move the ball in different directions allows him to stay away from that trouble. So obviously he likes what he sees when he stands up on a lot of these tee boxes, and then you combine that artistry and that feel that he has. You know, you talked about it. You know, I think it's, you know, his kind of week.
Well, it's also been a pretty common theme, too, as well here. On the front page of the leaderboard on a Sunday, we see the same names pop up year after year. I mean, you just look at the past results here. You know, Scotty Scheffler, Sam Burns, Theegala, Fowler. I mean, you can go on and on. There's Hoffman. If there is a get-right spot for him right now, it's definitely here. It looks like Hith isn't going to stay in this slump forever. It's got to turn around somewhere.
Oh, look, he too going off the tee. We saw that earlier, but this is a higher tee with a wedge. Colin, talk to me about what are we doing here?
Yeah, straight away, the first thing that jumps out at me there would be that he's obviously trying to shallow something out a little bit, but that was an extremely high tee with a lofted, very lofted club.
And if it's not shallow, the ball goes hard left.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is if it's not shallow, it could go left. That's the thing is like with him trying to move the ball in a direction, say left to right, if you actually get a little bit steep with a face that just matches that path, it is left. So, very interesting move.
Always something to learn here on the range. Another gorgeous day in the desert. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll be right back on the range, WM Phoenix Open. Well, you're going to find all kinds of celebrities out today in the Pro-Am, but you're not going to find a better story or a more resilient heart than Lulu Gribben. From Birmingham, Alabama, was a victim of a shark attack. Just at the tender age of 15 years old, lost her right leg, left arm, and they weren't sure if she was going to survive. She did, and one of the first things that she did, her twin sister, Ellie, got her out of the bed, did her hair, did her makeup. Then her mother, Ann Blair, got her to the golf course, a sport that she loves, and it's absolutely amazing that not only is she able to play, that the swing has that much symmetry to it, that the balance is so sophisticated. And watch this. The width of that golf swing. What an inspiration. You can go to lulug.strong on Instagram to follow along with her story and her journey. Tip of the cap to Lulu. From one person who certainly appreciates life and has a lot of gratitude to another, and Joel Damon, who fought cancer and wasn't sure what his life was going to look like, but now he's one of the more noteworthy players for a lot of reasons on the PGA Tour. One, because of his battle with cancer. Two, because he's a world-class player, a winner on the PGA Tour. And three, he's a fun guy, an easy guy for whom to cheer.
Yeah, I would say life's looking pretty good for Joel Damon right now. Bit of a home game this week here in Phoenix. Home game for a lot of guys.
Yeah, well, you're talking about not knowing what the future holds. Let's wind the clock back to RSM. I don't think he knew what life was going to look like on the PGA Tour with, a couple of rounds to go.
Sure.
And then obviously to go through what he had to do and make those putts coming down the stretch, amazing for Joel. And here he is back out on the PGA Tour.
This is a total fan-based question, but I'm interested to know, if you're on the range and you're Joel Damon and you've got Luke List behind you thumping drivers and Jake Knapp to the right, the easy swinging Jake Knapp, are you aware of who's around you on the range? This is no discredit to Joel. I'm just curious. There's different ways to play the game.
Yeah, I don't think Joel cares who he's hitting next to. That might be more so, a rookie's mindset out there, I would say, Ned. There's still some guys that you get starstruck hitting next to.
Who for you? I'm saying for you.
Really just Tiger.
Okay.
That's it. I'll watch plenty of others. Like, I'll camp out. I have camped out so many times behind Adam Scott and watched him hit balls.
So as Joel Damon figures out his golf swing, must be all the training he did with the Navy SEALs. You got to be able to block it out, especially here at the WM Phoenix Open. Block out the noise. It looks quiet and tranquil and peaceful from here, doesn't it? Sitting on the range, just hanging out, taking it all in. Just wait, because it all cranks up tomorrow. The WM Phoenix Open. It is going to be loud, you know that. It's going to be something to watch, especially over at the Coliseum, the 16th, and then the 17th. Such a good finishing sequence of holes as we catch up with Brian Harman. All right, who wants to take a crack at it? Who wants to go first?
Ned, I've seen Harman walking around with that thing since college. I'm assuming he's gotten a new one a few times, but he wears this training aid out. Look, it's really all about syncing up the arms on the way back and keeping that club head in front of you. Colin, are you a fan of this? Who invented this? This is Martin Chuck. Did he invent that?
I think Martin Chuck actually did invent that.
I think he did, yeah.
Yeah, there's been different iterations of it. I've seen tennis balls on pieces of string.
Yeah.
You know, I actually have a little dollar store one myself. I go all out on my gadgets.
That training aid has stood the test of time.
It has.
There's a ton. Justin Rose, another guy that wears that thing out.
You know, it's interesting. Harman said last year it was, in his estimation, his opinion, the best year of striking the ball he has ever had in his career with his irons.
Oh.
And it was his putter that let him down, and that was part of the game that he just was looking for, more consistency out of. That, of course, we had seen when he won the Open at Hoylake, he made everything.
Yeah, and I think the point to be made here with Brian is that all these golfers have their tendencies. They have their things that sort of come and go, their idiosyncrasies, their sort of, things that have made them great over time, but also too are their weaknesses. So they always have to go back and work on drills that they've had success with. And again, another player here that, putting down alignment, stick towards the target. You can see the one that's actually perpendicular to that. That's for ball position. Just dialing everything in to make sure that you're in the right position. It's a bit like baking a cake, Ned, to be honest. You need to have consistency. You need to have these things that are not variables. And if you're actually going to go in and try and find something and fix it, you need to know what the variables are. And if you don't have consistency in what you're doing, it's difficult to know what it is.
Yeah, it looks like that ball that's just ahead of the one he's hitting. What do you think, Colin? Maybe trying to cover it a little bit more, get that club head exiting more to the right, a little lower on the way through?
Yeah, Vijay Singh, remember back, used to have an umbrella. He
Yep.
used to put it out just in front of his golf ball. And it gives him a visual awareness that, hey, this is where I want the club to swing from. And then that way, it's not like he's trying to avoid it. It's a visual distraction to keep him exiting a little bit more towards the right.
How do you do that without spinning out and hitting a huge slice?
Yeah, that's the thing, is it's a bit of a buzz at the moment. There's all this rotary, trying to actually cover it a little bit more, get the body exiting a little left for a right-handed golfer. But a lot of people just don't know that you can rotate, but you can still have the hands dropping. Justin Rose, if I could put a picture in your mind, for example, Justin Rose had that very methodical sort of lowering of the hands. It doesn't lower like that, it lowers and rotates at the same time, but that's how you can actually start to get that chest, that torso a little bit more open to sort of match those hips, so to speak, and you can still move from the inside. The average golfer, they'll move everything from the top, and that's how you come out right over the top.
Maverick Neely in the background. He's a popular pick for the week. And so is Billy Horschel. There's always some fidgeting that goes on, Matt, but you can tell the number of pump fakes that Billy puts on a swing. If it's more than two, he's working on something. If it's two or less, he's dialed in.
Yeah, you talked about that during the break a little bit. I'm not far off with that assessment here from Billy. Look, this guy's playing some good golf right now. He had his best year of his career last year, and really picking up where he left off, playing some solid golf. I've been seeing him a ton at home on the back of the range, grinding. Billy's very active in the community, back home in Ponte Vedra. I look for big things from Billy, and he might be my pick this week to win this golf tournament. I mean, we talk about horses for courses. His results here don't stink. Last week, he had a really good week ball striking. Just lost strokes around the green. Look, not the biggest deal here. We're talking about totally different grasses. I think this is a killer spot for him.
Well, the big question is, Ned, has he finished runner-up here?
Yeah, right.
not within the last 4 seasons. So if you're going strictly by that statistic, he wouldn't be your guy. But if you want to talk about characteristics of somebody who wins here, to your point, iron striking.
Yeah, irons is a big deal, but also a guy who's not afraid of the moment. Look, there's no running from it coming down the stretch here in Phoenix. This is, you're not going to backdoor a win here. And Billy's, it just kind of fits his personality. Look, the other night on TGL, he came out and did the Dirty Bird. I mean, how many guys in this field would have the stones to do that, Ned?
The Dirty Bird? Probably there.
Not many.
Not many who really actually want to do the Dirty Bird.
I'm not saying he did it great. I'm just saying he did it.
Who cheer for the Falcons and remember the Dirty Bird. That was good, though. I like that moment.
And Billy's one of those guys that feels that he has to earn it. He has to dig it out in the dirt. And he is, such a technician with his golf swing, works extremely hard on it, wants to make it perfect.
Well, that drive got the better of him 2 seasons ago.
Yes, it did.
There's some debate whether it was on his own initiative or it was in the offseason. His coach, Todd Anderson, Billy just started trying to change a little something in his backswing, and it took him the entire season to get it right again.
Well, I think that the word is within tolerance, within the bumper rails. Sometimes these guys go down a wormhole of trying to make it perfect when sometimes it's an imperfect game, and if you're good enough, might be just good enough. trying to keep that club outside the hands on the way back. Gets that club in at a really good position, a little bit more laid off.
Yeah, and we saw, Ricky a little earlier filming his own swing. Let me tell you something, Billy, every time he practices, there's a camera right behind him.
Imagine his iCloud storage situation. You save the good ones? Or
Yeah,
just keep
delete
them
the
all?
bad ones, save the good ones, right? Just like anything else.
He's become such a reliable putter that when the ball striking matches up, I'm kind of with you. Kind of with you. Firm, fast golf course. It's got a little fire in the gallery. This could be a week for Billy Horschel. One thing you're going to have to go pretty low. Last year, the winning score at 21 under. The year before, 19, 16. It kind of depends on if there's been rain or not. And of course, we haven't had any rain here, so it's going to be firm and fast. So expect the scores to be a little bit higher. The cut typically resides around 2 under par. Again, depends if we have any wind kick up, but somewhere around there, anything in the upper teens will get it pretty close to done. It's been fun hanging out on the range. Hope you all have enjoyed it. We certainly have enjoyed your company. Gentlemen, a couple of final thoughts from you each, especially on who you think we might see at the top of the leaderboard the end of the week.
Yeah, look, I'm looking for big things out of the guy we just saw, Billy Horschel. 2 top 10s here in his last 5 starts. He's got plenty of gas here, not afraid of the moment, and great form coming into this week. Look, the ball striking off the charts last week at Pebble. I look for big things from Billy.
Colin?
I think conditions are going to drive a winner this week. It's a firm and fast golf course. I'm looking for somebody that hits it a little bit higher, a little bit softer. Sung Jae Im is my man. He's coming off 2 top 5s in his last 4 starts. I watched him at the Farmers Insurance Open. Didn't quite make the putts coming down the stretch, but he'll be in contention come the weekend.
We've got a couple more minutes. Let's reach way back. I'm going to give you a KH Lee call from deep in the peloton. What do you think? Who's a long shout for you?
I don't hate KH. Nick Dunlap, how about that?
Nick Dunlap, yes, no doubt about it. He'd be a good one. High ball hitter. Colin?
Ricky Fowler.
Ricky Fowler going for a second win. All right, well, we'll have to see. We saw them all on the range. A lot to work on. And as we make our way around this golf course, there's going to be a lot of parity and plenty of partying. So just remember, you can follow all of the action with us at the Golf Channel as we get rolling into a Thursday at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. The first round coverage can be found early. ESPN Plus, 9:15 a.m. Eastern Time. And then our coverage of the Golf Channel, 4 p.m. Eastern. Oh, it's going to be so much fun. Who will it be? One thing we know, it's not going to be cold, it's not going to be windy, plenty of sunshine, plenty of smiles. Well, for all of us here at On the Range, we'll catch you later in the week.